So Deadpool and Wolverine came out earlier this month, and it is already the highest grossing R-rated movie of all time. I got to go see this movie a few days ago with my wife and a good friend of mine, as well as a packed theater excited to see a new Deadpool movie. I'm not only late to the party in regards to getting up my thoughts on this movie online, but I was also just late to the party to even go see this movie. It took me a long time to finally get a chance to see this movie due to work scheduling, family life, and all that stuff, as well as just packed theaters. Everyone has been going out to see this movie, and the buzz for it could not have gotten my expectations any higher. I'm actually happy to say, though, that my expectations for this movie were actually pretty well met. It was an incredible time just seeing this movie in the theater with a room full of people who were just excited to see Hugh Jackman again and to see the next Deadpool movie with all of the humor and the brutal violence that would entail for a movie like this. Everyone had a great time in my theater, and that really did just heighten my personal experience seeing it. In regards to the overall plot from A to Z, from start to finish in this movie, there wasn't really anything necessarily too big to write home about. It was a fine story, but really the meat and potatoes of this movie is just seeing the dynamic between Deadpool and Wolverine, Hugh Jackman and Ryan Reynolds. On screen together, it was such a treat. Not only that, but there were tons of cameos in this movie that everyone had high expectations for, and even the cameos here, I think expectations were well met as well. As this movie has been so popular, you've probably already seen this movie, so I'll go into slight spoilers just regarding some of the characters, or cameos rather, here in this movie. The two biggest cameos that put such a huge smile on my face were, of course, Channing Tatum as Gambit, as well as Chris Evans coming back as Johnny Storm from the original live-action Fantastic Four movie. I have such a soft spot for that original Fantastic Four movie, as well as just the Fantastic Four as a whole. So to see that we are finally kind of moving into that direction where the Marvel Cinematic Universe is recognizing the Fantastic Four is getting me really excited. But of course, just seeing Chris Evans come back, not as Captain America, but as Johnny Storm, it was so funny. I mean, just all of the way that his character was used, especially in the post-credit scene, I had such a good time seeing this performance. And Gambit has actually been up there as one of my favorite Marvel characters, up there with Spider-Man and the Wolverine. So to see that fan cast come to life, or that reality of Channing Tatum as Gambit come to life here in this movie, it was like with Johnny Storm, such a treat. The sarcastic, humorous beats in this movie were everything that I was expecting and didn't really miss for the most part. I mean, there were some moments here and there where I knew what the joke was trying to get out of me, and it just didn't necessarily work for me. But for the most part, this movie is an incredibly entertaining ride as far as just the comedy went, for me at least. And the action really was some of the most fun that I've had in a movie. The opening sequence in particular was really fun. I saw the movie just in regular 2D. My theater did have a 3D showing of it, and you could definitely tell that, especially in the intro to this movie, they were kind of capitalizing on those 3D effects. Even just when I was seeing it in 2D, I could see what they were doing to make it a 3D experience. But regardless, I had a good time seeing it in 2D. I don't think I needed to see it in 3D to have the maximum amount of fun in this movie. That opening scene, especially, like I said, was an incredibly fun, very gory time. Later on, seeing Deadpool pick up the corpse of Logan's claws and use them to fumble his way through killing all of the TVA around him, it was just so enjoyable to watch. The movie overall was just an incredibly thrilling time, not just for Deadpool fans, but for comic book fans. And not even just comic book fans, for people who actually just know the industry, who know kind of a little bit of the ins and outs of what's happened on the development side of these movies, what went on with the deals with Fox and Disney, who watched those movies back in the early 2000s and, have been fans to this day. So much of this movie felt like, sure, it was making fun of a lot of the things that deserve to be made fun of, as well as a love letter to the Fox Marvel Marvel movies, to those original X-Men films, as well as other movies like Blade and Daredevil and Elektra and things like that. I was definitely on the fence when it came to just bringing Hugh Jackman back to play Logan, but the way that it was all pulled off in this movie, the way that they went in this direction, it actually really wasn't all that offensive to me. I actually really liked the way that they decided to use the multiverse Logan in this movie, and overall, I thought that it was well-deserved. Do I want to see him come back in the future? Definitely not. This felt like Ryan Reynolds just trying to really pursue his passion project of making a Deadpool and Wolverine movie, and now that it's done, and now that it's good, I'm happy with it. I don't really want to see any more of Hugh Jackman Logan. Obviously, it's not to say that I had a bad time seeing Hugh Jackman as Logan in the movie. It's just kind of the principle of the death of such a beloved character. I'm not really super excited about bringing back those characters that I want to kind of stay gone, basically just to continue to have that legacy kind of live on with respect. Everything with Hugh Jackman here was absolutely respectful, though. Even though they desecrated the corpse of Logan at the start of this movie, it was just such a fun time. Like I said towards the beginning of this movie, as well as with my review of Alien Romulus, it was such a good time specifically to see this in a theater full of people who were also excited to see this movie. If you haven't seen this movie and you've been kind of on the fence on whether or not you want to support this movie or see a new Marvel movie, because for me personally, this was one of the first Marvel movies that I've seen in a really long time, I would say that if you do get to see this movie, at least go see it in the theater if you can. Anyways, those are all of my thoughts and opinions, kind of in a nutshell, about Deadpool and Wolverine. If you liked this video and you want to see more reviews from me kind of in this fashion, go ahead down below and consider liking the video and subscribing to the channel, as well as hitting the notification bell. If you click right here, you can see my previous video where I reviewed Alien Romulus, and down in the description below is actually a link to my main channel, Overleveled Games, where I kind of have a similar format like this, where I review video games and discuss what I love about the latest games that I'm playing, RPGs, story-driven games, things of that nature. So go ahead and consider checking out that channel as well and subscribing over there. However, with all of that said, that's going to do it for this video. I will see you all in the next review. Bye-bye.